Hello everybody, welcome back to the United Stand. First foot in Wembley. I'm hoping so. Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Was it a convincing win? Rashford on the score sheet once again, lots to get into. I'm here with the lovely panellists Faz, Kev and Ricky, here to discuss all the good news that was today's game, in my honest opinion. I think that Wembley is possibly on the horizon, guys. What do you make of it, Kev?
Manchester United are going to Wembley. Let's not beat around the bush. Faz come in singing, what was it?
Wembley! Wembley! We're the famous Man United and we're going to Wembley.
It would take a monumental mess up, I get my words right there, but if Manchester United did not make the final from up here on, we might as well all just pack up and go home. Because the Fernandes goal, it's huge, because at 2-0, you still think Nottingham Forest have got a little bit of a chance going to Old Trafford if we had an off night, but Fernandes' goal for me has sealed it. I think Ricky was even trying to book his travel, you know, his hotel and everything for Wembley. So if the Godfather's ready to rock up at Wembley, then that's good enough for me, man. That's a seal of approval.
Apologies for obviously the delay. I will notice that because I know you guys will absolutely pummel me in the chat. But yes, there was a little bit delayed, but we're all sorted. We're all sorted. Faz, we started a strong team.
Yep.
Do you think we could have afforded to rotate, or do you think that we wanted that 1 foot in Wembley and you know, we needed the first win, or do you think he should have rotated? Now looking on hindsight, what's your thoughts?
I think you know, starting the strong side made most sense, because in the home leg you can afford to rotate a bit more, especially now if our first team main squad go and get the job done. It's better for the team in general. On top of that, Nottingham Forest did have patches where they looked very dangerous. Gibbs White at certain times, Johnson at certain times as well. Obviously, they had a goal disallowed as well. Let's not forget. In certain patches of the game, they did look, you know, from corner kicks as well, they looked like a threat. And let's be honest, if we did rotate the squad a little bit more than what we showed, do you think we would have got the 3 goals? I don't think so. Let's be honest, I really don't think so. I think it needed a Rashford, it needed a Weghorst and an Antony kind of shot. It needed a Casemiro in there to see the game through, which isn't really ideal. Which isn't ideal. I was a bit upset seeing Eriksen today. I wanted him to rest. I wanted Fred to start. But it shows that Ten Hag has his trusted soldiers. It is a semi-final. He does want a piece of silverware. We are going to Wembley, and I'm happy nonetheless. I think rotate the squad in the home leg.
Everyone in the chat just quickly saying Ricky stormed off. Everyone's just like Ricky. Style, Ricky's had enough. Ricky's had enough.
I had a technical issue.
Yeah, they're all happening. Kev, Eriksen started today. Are we surprised by that? I did think he was going to get a rest, in all honesty. A lot of people are thinking that he hasn't been up to scratch, the performances. I mean, we've had many discussion, good and bad, about Eriksen. Were you surprised to see him start, or do you think that, I mean, look, it's obvious, it's not a thing. Obviously, Erik ten Hag trusts in, you know, his capabilities and abilities, what he offers to the team. But I would have thought that it would have been a job for Fred, in all honesty.
Take your point totally, but I'm a bit old school in that thinking of let's just play
your best 11, get out of the way.
And then when you're in a position, I think Ten Hag's got everything right. We sat here on Sunday, didn't we, after the Arsenal game? We were disappointed. We said that game management wasn't right, the substitutions weren't great. There were certain things that us as fans probably thought Ten Hag didn't react to at the Emirates, but I thought he's got absolutely spot on today. He's brought Rashford off at the right time. Obviously, wrap him up in cotton wool.
Yeah, I said that.
The other changes, maybe Garnacho, a few United supporters might have thought he might have started this game, but he's come in at the right time, I think, to see Pellistri getting game time. Again, I would always go with my strongest 11, get the job done, which at 2-0, it was more or less done. And then you get the cherry on the icing on the top of the cake, which was Fernandes' goal at the end. So, good day at the office. I'm not saying Ten Hag redeems himself, because I don't think I certainly won't go down that route. But certainly when you look at Sunday's game and the in-game management, which we were a bit critical of, he's got it absolutely spot on this evening.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit of Garnacho there. Ricky, we at one point on the pitch had Garnacho, Pellistri and Elanga, a front three that not many people would have said would have, ever kind of happened. But that is, when you're that comfortable in a game, in terms of result, I wouldn't say in terms of performance we were ever that comfortable, but you do have the luxury of throwing on a few youngsters. But it's good to see the youngsters get some game time. What did you make of Pellistri today? Obviously, I think he got 20 odd minutes, didn't he?
Yeah, not quite. I mean, obviously, the last time he got on, it was against Charlton Athletic, wasn't it? I don't think he was quite as impressive today. But
he nearly gave a penalty away.
He nearly gave a penalty away. I felt. Obviously, we watched the game together, didn't we, Charlie? And I think I pointed out to you during the game, I don't think Casemiro had his best games today.
We can get on to
he got caught in possession 4 times, and he gave a few sloppy passes. And I felt a little bit for Pellistri. And I saw him giving him daggers because he clipped a ball out to him first time that came to him. Really a player of Casemiro's quality. He's got time to have the ball on the floor and pass it along the floor. When you can pass it along the floor, it makes it much easier for the recipient. So he fired the ball at Pellistri that was around shin high or knee high, and then he miscontrolled it, lost it. He had to chase back and almost give a penalty away, like you say. And if he would have given a penalty away, Casemiro wouldn't have been completely blameless in that situation for putting him in that situation. But Pellistri, he burst into the box. The keeper made the save, if I remember it correctly. It came to Alanga. There was a few players around him, and Alanga showed a really cool head to just flick a ball through to Bruno. So they all did the part really, but I don't think Pellistri. I was really impressed with Pellistri against Charlton Athletic, but not so much.
The one thing Ricky's going to absolutely love about Pellistri this evening was the fact that he got to the byline and crossed.
Exactly.
I knew it.
Exactly.
Ricky was out of his seat and clapping his hands, standing ovation. It was like, when's the last time you've seen a United player take on somebody?
I'll just take it all back. He actually did brilliantly.
I have actually got that written down though. The fact that when Antony and Rashford were on the pitch, even Bruno, when he finds himself in those little areas, they don't cross first time. They do find themselves in those areas where, and look, this is how I think of it as a striker. Whenever there was a winger trying to cross the ball, if they cross it and it's in a great area, it's the striker's problem if they're not there. Because if they put it in a great area, they're not the ones going to get moaned at. It depends on the situation, I guess. If you're 1-0 up and the game needs put into bed, you obviously don't cross it. There's again situations, but yeah, if you're looking for a goal, then you want to put the ball into the box. And Rashford, Antony weren't doing that. But when Pellistri came on, apart from the Everton game, it was it the forum before where you were saying about we need to get Rashford to the byline and cross it in,
with his left,
and he did it against Everton twice, and obviously Antony got the goal, and then it was the own goal next. They need to keep watching the show because we keep going on about these crosses. They need to watch, but no, he did do well. I think a little bit with Pellistri sometimes. I don't know what you think, Faz. I think because he made his debut for the first time against Charlton, didn't he? Yeah. So what's that? It's just over 2 years since he signed for the club. I think he's almost in this position now where he's trying too hard sometimes in order to please the manager and obviously prove a point, which is understandable because when you've signed for a club and almost, I can't even remember in all honesty how he was brought in, if he was hyped up, if we thought he was going to be this big thing. But sitting on the sidelines, going out on loan for so long, you can't blame him for wanting to come in and try and prove a point, especially with the talk around Antony being a bit frustrating, Sancho's out. Maybe he's looking at a possible spot there.
Yeah, now he gives us something that Ricky obviously loves, and other people will as well. It's the right-footed cross from the right-hand side. It's all about having different aspects to your attack. That's what's most important, and that's what Pellistri gives. Please, nobody expect him to start against Reading or whatever. He's not starting. Because if you go and check how Ten Hag brought in Garnacho, it took him 7 or 8 games before Garnacho got a start or he got a decent amount of minutes. Pellistri still got to do the basics, which is he has to play and show Ten Hag that he deserves minutes. That's what he has to do. He did okay today. At times he looked a bit inexperienced. Let's be honest, Aurier got a bit better of him at times as well. But I'm sure that will come with more experience in cup games. Maybe if we, do comfortable against Barcelona, which, touch wood we do, then he might feature there. That'll be a big game for him. But it's good that he gives a different aspect to the game that Ten Hag can say, you know what, actually, he's not stunk up the place. He's not been outstanding, but he's showing signs of progression. And on top of that, we need squad depth, let's be honest. You know, who else is going to be on the right-hand side? I don't think anybody here or anybody watching would want Bruno on the right-hand side, let's be honest. No. So Pellistri is the guy. If and when Sancho is ready, he could be an option. But at the rate at which Pellistri is going, I'm okay, I'm happy. He's not going at the Garnacho rate.
It's refreshing to see he's got a willingness to actually impress.
Yeah.
In a way, it reminds me a little bit of Donny van der Beek. You know, nothing ever went his way, but whenever he was given a chance, he did seem to try and overplay things. You know, all he was trying to do was impress the manager.
Yeah, exactly,
you know, he's had, 2 managers there that he's tried to impress, never really broke into the team, but he always seemed like he was trying to overthink things and overplay, but that'll come with time, won't it? As long as, you know, he's got a manager that's got his arm round him, shows a bit of confidence in him, just takes him to one side and just says, just settle down, you know,
but we
believe in you.
He got double the amount of minutes compared to Charlton, I think. He played 10 minutes against Charlton, he's played 20 minutes tonight, so you never know. Maybe he might get a whole half or something in the next time.
He nearly got a goal as well, in front of Hennessy, and it was just a little bit late, or, you know, when Hennessy got a bit better at the ball, but these are all positive signs. He's in the right area, he's doing the right thing, he's being direct, he's not thinking too much, he's crossing the ball. These are all really positive signs, so I do want him to stay in Manchester United and get some minutes. We've got a lot of games coming.
Yeah. Rory says, agree, get it done, 10 days till Palace in the league with a few cup games in between. And what a fizzed in cross by Pellistri. They beat defenders. Which one was saying, was it you were saying that you thought Weghorst should have actually possibly either got it on target or scored?
Yeah, the ball came in from it was going almost behind Weggy, as you like, Weghorst, and he almost had to lean back whilst he's jumping to try and connect to the ball. If he was running momentum and hitting the ball in momentum, then that's a different story. I think, you know, we'd all say he gets that. But that's all positive signs. It's in the right area. That's the first time we've seen him get a proper header as well.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to see more stuff like that.
I think we pointed out, Ricky, I think that probably was his second cross in terms of the 3 appearances. Obviously, he had one earlier in the game.
Weghorst's crosses, you mean?
Yes,
The winger.
Where it's come from.
Yeah, we haven't been putting any balls in.
No.
I mean, Marcus doesn't cross it. Obviously, Antony doesn't cross it. He's forever check. He played all right tonight, Antony, but he just checks back and passes it, doesn't he? And at least it keeps the ball with your team generally. Obviously, occasionally gives it away, but it keeps the ball with your team. I've not got a lot against that, but you do need to. You need to be able to go both ways. I'd love to see him just knock it and try and cross it in with it. And I don't, I'll be honest with you, I don't think we'll ever see him. He could go past. He could go past a full-back just as easily as Pellistri can, but he just doesn't want to do it because it puts him in a situation where he's got to cross it with his right foot.
He did the full-backs, this evening, didn't he? And then he did that. He went past, and I remember hearing you say, "Go on," and then he stopped. And the defenders, and you were like,
he just stops.
He gained an advantage by getting past him, but then
it just comes back and passes it, or tries to get a shot in.
But in defence to Antony, he nearly had a goal today. He should have scored. That was a bit of beautiful football.
Beautiful football.
Casemiro, Antony sees a huge amount of gap and that desire to get in that number 10 outside the box kind of position. He gets in there, boom, 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 inside the box. We all want to see that type of football.
It's great football. I think Weghorst had a good hand in that as well. A lovely little layoff. He's playing. I like the way he plays, Weghorst. I think he's a good signing.
I think those type of goals where it's quick, intricate passing like that are actually better in terms of when you put it against a 30-yard screamer. Like them goals, there's something different about it. There was that Arsenal goal, and this is the one time I will give Arsenal praise, where it was years ago, I think it was against like Norwich, where they like flicked it around 5 or 6 passes, and I don't know if it was Giroud who scored, but it's just like them goals, they're so aesthetically pleasing.
There's nothing you can do about them, and that's why they look so good, because it's all pass and move, and when it's one-touch football, you're trying to defend against that, and your man's gone, it's all one-touch passing, it does look great.
Going back to Pellistri though, there's a lot of talk of him possibly going out on loan this window. Do you guys agree? We'll start with you, Faz. That do you think Pellistri would benefit from a loan move? I think he would definitely. It's whether or not we have the squad depth, like you say, to let him go, or just have him kind of stick there and have 10, 15, 20 minutes here or there.
You've hit the nail on the head. Cannot afford it. I'm really sorry. Would love for him to go on loan, get some experience. But then again, how old is he? He is 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken. like a loan at this point. I think Ten Hag should be looking at utilising him in the squad. And if we're going right, again, hopefully, fingers crossed, we make Champions League, we do well in the cup runs, we are going to need him. Even next year, we're going to need players like that. We're not going to have our unlimited budget every window. He should be making some decent decisions with these players and making decent progress. I would keep him. I don't want to... I think Elanga should be the one. Please, I'm really sorry, but Elanga should be the one that's going on loan, not Pellistri.
Kev, would you make of Pellistri? Do you think you'd be sending him out on loan this window, or do you think...
I don't think we can afford to, because I'd be a hypocrite. I sat here on Sunday after being beaten 3-2 by Arsenal and saying the one alarming thing that stood out for me was squad depth at Manchester United. We kind of maybe have not got away with it, but you look at it and you think, oh, the squad's not that bad. But seeing the bench on Sunday and the options, what we had to try and change that game, there wasn't much on that bench. And I know Martial's injured at the minute, but you looked at it and you thought, in comparison to some other teams that have got that squad, they've got 3 or 4 players they can bring on to change a game. I don't think we can afford to let a player like that leave on loan. We're not in that position. Aren't we all here as United fans crying out for signings? And not that it's going to happen, because the Glazers are certainly not going to invest in this squad while they're trying to sell it. But yeah, we want more players in the squad. I don't see how that would make any sense at all to send a player out. Like Faz says, 22 years old, surely this lad should be looking to stake a claim now and try and break into this first team. Yeah.
What about you, Ricky? Do you think Pellistri would benefit from a loan, or are you keeping him for the same reasons as the other guys?
As much as you have to have a squad, which obviously you do want a decent squad depth, and there are a lot of games to come. When you look at the bench against Arsenal, like Kevin said, obviously it's a completely different game, Arsenal away, than Forest away, and it was okay bringing players on tonight at 2-0 up. I think, no disrespect to the lad, and I think he has got a great future, but I think they'd be scraping the barrel to bring Pellistri on, trying to get a goal back for us against Arsenal. I mean, to be fair, they didn't take the lead, did they, till there was a couple of minutes left. But let's assume we were 2-1 or 3-2 down to Arsenal with 20 minutes left. I don't think they're going to bring Pellistri on in a game like that. You know, a game like tonight maybe. So you've got to have enough players to be able to play the smaller games. It saves the bigger players having to play in those smaller games. But how many do you need? I mean, we've got, if Sancho comes back, we've got Elanga, we've got Garnacho, we've got Rashford, we've got Pellistri, and I'm sure I'm missing one. Antony. Not mentioned Antony. It's six wingers there. 6 players that can play on the wing, and I know Martial can play on the wing, but Martial can play at number 9 as well, and Weghorst can play at number 9. So I think I'm right in saying that I've named 9 players who can play on the wing or at number 9. And even though you need a squad, is that like at least one too many? Perhaps. And I'm not suggesting Ahmad's out on loan. Maybe one player out of that particular position on the field could go out on loan. But we don't know exactly what's going on with Sancho. It's all right me saying we've got 8 or 9 players. Have we got 8 or 9 players? Yeah. Martial's injury prone all the time. Sancho, we don't know what's going on with him. So if it was 9, is it really 7 for a while? Do you know what I mean? So it's a difficult one to say, and it's up to the manager. It
is hard. I do agree with you. It is difficult to gauge, because the minute you send him out on loan, it might be that
another one gets injured.
and then you're in a bad place. But Rashford scored again. I think I'm right in saying he scored in every round of that cup so far that we've been in. So he's obviously in fine form. But VAR to the rescue. I think it's the first round the VAR is actually being of use within the Carabao Cup. I thought Lindelof did quite well. Overall in the game, but I thought in terms of that actual piece of defending as well, to keep the line with Martinez and actually, and this is this is what a lot of people will overlook, I think, in the sense of they'll just think that the attacker's been stupid and completely run offside.
Give the defender credit.
You know, that might be part of the case, but there will be, you know, defenders are very smart in what they do in terms of keeping the line and, you know, not committing. You notice how Lindelof didn't just run out to cover. I can't remember who it was, the one who actually scored the goal, or go directly to the man. You know, he stays kind of in the half space, and I thought Lindelof played very well. Ricky, I know you agree as well.
I thought Lindelof had a great game. I mean, Kev asked me when we came in if I agreed with the man of the match award to Martinez, and I just about agree with it. But I think there was quite a few good performances out there, and I think Lindelof was right up there. I thought he had a cracking game. When you mentioned their disallowed goal, it made me think about just on about that disallowed goal, by the way. You do need to keep your line, and you've obviously, defenders have got to be brave, but let's be honest, they're not to an inch, are they? And that was I think there's like an inch or two offside, I think. So there's a lot of luck involved in that, and it's as simple as that, really. It's more like luck than good judgment when it's that close. Nobody can say I'm going to play him an inch offside. Impossible. But I wanted to speak about something we spoke about right at the beginning of the show, and I didn't get to speak about it. I was amazed how comfortable we were throughout most of that game. I was expecting a much tougher game, and looking at some of Forest's performances at home on some electric nights that they've had in recent. You know, it's easy in hindsight to say, oh, we won 3-0, and you lads were talking about, you know, it's good that we played a full strength team, and maybe we could have gone a little bit weaker or whatever and stuff like that. But that's with hindsight. Before the game, I mean, they've beaten Liverpool at home. They knocked Arsenal out of a cup recently. Somebody told me that they beat Leicester 4-0 at home in a game. I'm not saying Leicester are Liverpool or Man United, but, you know, they're a decent side. So I was expecting a much tougher game, and I don't really know whether I'm not giving our lads enough credit, and maybe you know, it's great to be going to a game where you think you're going to get... Well, I think before the game, Charlie, you said to me, what's my prediction? I said a 1-1 draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think that was too harsh. I think they beat Chelsea at home as well.
I think they were undefeated at home for quite a while.
8 games in a row.
It's a possible tough game, that.
Yeah.
And to go there and win 3-0, I'm absolutely over the moon.
On top of that, our away performances haven't been amazing, have they really? So it was good to just get a really convincing away win. But then that disallowed goal, as much as it was luck involved, I didn't like how open we were as well.
It was quick, wasn't it? It happened
so
very quick.
Yeah.
People were not rating Gibbs White at the start of the game, you know, but I was
good,
like,
wasn't he?
Gibbs White had a decent game, in all honesty, and the speed at which they went countering. Johnson as well. Was it Johnson or I think it was Johnson who dropped Martinez as well at one point. Or was it Gibbs White?
Through his legs, that was Brennan Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, dropped the shoulder. They look, you know, dangerous at certain moments of the game, but that transition of how much amount of space, that's a bit scary for me, I'll be honest.
It was a really open game for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really open.
They had the moments,
Lots of space both ways.
They did cause us problems.
Yeah. You think if that's a better side, then, you know, you don't want that anywhere near that amount of space, do you? Because the better sides do punish you in that situation. Rory says, aside from Bruno and Eriksen, can anyone else play 10 after Donny's injury? They need to get someone in because both need resting and rotation. Well, I mean, we can sit here and discuss who can play where all night, but at the end of the day, no one's going to play in the 10 really ahead of Bruno anyway, right? It's just not going to happen. But Ricky, huge one for you. I think I heard you saying when we were watching the game about how Casemiro wasn't. You didn't think he had the best of first halves of game.
He had his poorest game yet for us. He got caught in possession in his own midfield, in his own half in midfield, 3 times in the first half and once in the second half. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then there was a few sloppy passes. There was something that surprised me. I don't know if any of you will remember it, but we had them pinned back, not too far before the end of the game, and he was like 20 yards outside their box, but we had them pinned back, and they cleared it, and it came to him with no players around him.
Oh, and he headed it.
Yeah, and he headed it, and he should have just let it drop and control it. And it was, look, people don't like it when you get a new player in and he's obviously a quality player. When these players make a mistake, there's no harm in pointing it out. And then people seem to think, why are you pointing it out?
But they go to the extreme, you automatically hate them, don't you?
Yeah. I'm not, I'm just watching the game and I'm thinking, well, if I didn't know who he was and he was on trial for United tonight, I'd probably tell him not to come back again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there was quite a few errors.
For his calibre and his ability and his accolades, you would expect him to deal with that a little bit better.
So basically, Ricky's saying Casemiro's finished.
No, I'm not saying that. He had his poorest game yet. That header that I'm talking about, they've cleared it from their box. It's coming to him, and he's got. I mean, people can't see this on the screen, so I'm speaking to you lads. The nearest opponent to him is from here to that wall. There's lots of time for him to control it and pass it, and he just tries to head it back, but he heads it straight back to those players who are advancing towards him.
Yeah.
They get control of it and they go on the attack. Yeah. It really wasn't good.
He did look rusty. He actually looked like a player that had just missed maybe about 5 games. He's only missed one, hasn't he?
That's what I was going to say. Did it... I mean, it shouldn't do, but do you think missing that Arsenal game does have anything to do with that at all?
It could possibly be, with a player like Casemiro. He is obviously a class act. And you kind of look at it and think maybe he's just been knocked out of his groove slightly. Maybe he is a player, because there's no doubt he's been on a magnificent run of form at Manchester United. And it did take him about 3 or 4 games. There was a stage I was there thinking, we've been done. Real Madrid have sold us a bit of a dud here. What is going on? It didn't look like he could run, pace-wise. It didn't look like he had any. But by God, once he got into his groove, he was, It was
in his credit though, he did make some good interceptions at times.
Well, if there's ever a time to drop a less than what you think is standard performance for him, it is when we went 3-0 away from home, isn't it? So
at times he did okay. He shoved players off the ball. He made sure he was very assertive when it came to players trying to bully him. But I do understand at certain times, like near our own box, he lost the ball. But then is that because of his own fault, or is it players not telling him man on and there's a man coming on to you? Could be that as well. But he didn't stink up the place. But
no, he didn't.
At the start of the season, when McTominay was so benching him, when he started playing, he did have a run of few games that he needed. So I think it was just momentum maybe, but he'll be fine.
Would you then go and start him at the game at the weekend?
100%. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Domestic double. I'm shameless. I'm starting the strongest team. It don't matter. The Carabao Cup, FA Cup. I'm starting him. Yeah. Without him, we look absolutely lost. I'd start him and then take him off maybe 60th, 70th minute. But yeah, he plays. Cool.
Weghorst's first goal for the club. Big Weggy. Good finish, I thought, to be fair, in the situation, of the rebound, anticipating it, etc. Do we think, I've got written down here, could Weghorst work with service? Because I feel like fans are very divided on their opinion. I think there's almost this meme culture on social media that everyone loves him just because of, he's this 6'6" pressing monster. It doesn't really matter. He could never score a goal for Manchester United, but you have to love him. But then there's this other following that hate him already because he hasn't scored 10 goals in 3 games, right? It's one extreme to the next. But you have got to put into context that it's not like he's had open goals, one-on-ones, and he's missing them. He's scored the one half chance, and I'd say that is probably a half chance, right? Latching onto because the goalkeeper shouldn't parry that straight back at him. That should be out wide, right? So he scored the one half chance. So do we now? I mean, we're stuck with him, so we can't not take him out of the team. But do we think that he can work with service? We just need to provide him with better service, Kev.
Well, it's clear that we need to provide him with better service. You see, he comes to light when the likes of Pellistri got to the byline and pulls across, puts it on his head. One of the main arguments about Ronaldo is when we had him, he would have probably argued, and a lot of the Ronaldo sort of fanboys were always like, he didn't get any service. I've been on here myself and said that we don't really play to his
graveyard shift.
Ronaldo,
you've
got one of the best headers in world football, yet we never put a ball in the box for Ronaldo. Fair enough, he's gone now, and we've got the big man up front. So again, you need to play to his strengths. I thought it was a difficult game for him Sunday because it was Arsenal. It was always going to be difficult. The Crystal Palace game was his debut, so you kind of let him off with that. So, run of games. And who else can we play up front?
Well, that's it. Martial's
We've
out.
tried
We don't know how long for, but
Martial obviously has got injury problems. Who else are we going to put up top? It could be a little, a little masterstroke from Ten Hag bringing this guy in. He knows him, and he's big. He's certainly. I wouldn't say he was quick. After Sunday's game, I did kind of go in and say I didn't realise how slow he was. Sort of say putting him in a kind of race against Harry Maguire would be like watching two kind of snails. But you play to his strengths. You have to play to his strengths. If getting to the byline, putting balls in for this guy, and that is his strength, isn't it? Heading in the ball. His hold-up play is good as well. He brings other players into play. So if you can work off that, whether you've got Antony, Rashford, whoever it is, left or right, if he can hold that up, spin and turn, he can bring these players into play.
I think his link-up play has actually been second to none. I think he's been really good in terms of when it needs to stick, it's stuck, and he's managed to link up well with the players. Anthony Tracy says Casemiro has been down the Curry Mile on his week off. D-Train says, how good is Faz's hair?
Thank you. Thank you. It took me 3 hours.
Let's talk a little bit about Antony. Frustrating again? Did you think he played well? What's your thoughts on Antony's
I enjoyed his game. I know a lot of people will get at me saying, what did you see? But let's be honest, certain times I'm looking at him very much asking for the ball in good areas of the pitch. You know, Weghorst linked up with him really well. From the central, he found him with a brilliant pass. Of course, he's not been as direct as people would like him. But let's be honest, Weghorst's goal did come from Antony taking a shot at Hennessy, and he should have had a goal today, because boy, if he did, I would have come in wearing my Antony shirt. I told everyone all that. But I think he still did okay. There's still loads of improvement to do. Ten Hag said it in his conference as well. But I think the most important thing is, you saw today, he helped out Bissaka so much.
His defensive
and I really
work rate
enjoyed.
is really positive.
I must say, Rashford at times, as much as he's scoring goals and it's masking his defensive duties, and I'm okay with that, because you won't ask Mbappe to track back. But boy, this guy just helps out, and he's so physical. I just wanted him to get a goal today, but overall, I'd give him maybe a 7 out of 10. I'm happy with him.
Do you think he's possibly lacking confidence a little bit, in the sense of driving at people? Or do you think that is just almost like a mental block, that he really doesn't want to go down to the byline and cross it? Because there is time. We actually all joked about it sitting watching the game. He was doing the ball roll thing, and I went, oh, wonder where he's going to go. And he actually did go right, and then turned back, because we all went, oh wow. And then he turned back, and it's like, oh, there you go. Like it was back to reality almost. Do you think it is a confidence issue? Because he always, it's one credit, he always wants the ball, 100%. He never goes shy wanting the ball. He always asking for it. He's always trying these flicks, even when something doesn't work out. He wants to do it again. So you have got to give him his credit, but there's something about just not being able to go on the other side and cross it in that really,
Yeah,
gets people.
I don't think it's confidence, because Ten Hag is starting him. He's his guy. He's always on the pitch. So it can't be that, oh, I've been benched and I'm lacking confidence, I'm lacking form. It can't be that. It has to be something to do with just adjusting to this league. It is not the Eredivisie, and you know what you did there was great. But let's not forget, your best work in Ajax was with Mazraoui, who was overlapping constantly, and they had this unbelievable partnership, fullback and winger partnership. He might not have that. He had his little partnership with Dalot, but Dalot's not here. Now he's doing it with Bissaka. But it must be just adjusting to the league. And a lot of times, if he's 1v1, 9 out of 10 times he's beating the man. But if it's 2, sometimes they double. A lot of the times they're now doubling up on him. That's when he's like, okay, let me go with the safer option. Whereas, at times he can still beat the guy. But just going on the byline, going on the right-hand side, I just don't understand why he doesn't do it. It's like, it's just non-existent. But I've come to a conclusion that you take the good with the bad. We know his left foot is lethal. In the right position, right time, it's lethal. And I must take it as it is. And that goal that he should have scored, it was all because he started the whole play to Casemiro and then saw the gap and went and made that run. Those are the type of goals we might see him scoring more. Against Arsenal as well, he scored, right? Great position, great time. So overall, I'm still happy. People are too critical. Like, it's only been 6 months in.
Ricky, do you think, I mean, the price tag isn't something that he obviously gets a say in, but do you think what we've paid for is more the possible player he can become rather than the player that we kind of have now?
Hopefully he can become a better player. So, like you say, it's not his fault, the price tag. The manager has had him under his wing at Ajax. So hopefully he's seen something in him. I've got to be honest, it's something in him that I just can't quite see yet, because I do expect a bit more from a right winger. Literally, as I've said many times, he needs to be able to go both ways, and he cuts in, makes the pitch smaller, it makes it obviously. If you can go round the outside and a little bit like Saka gives Shaw a torrid time at the weekend, he can go both ways. You know, he's not frightened of going that way or going this way. And the fullbacks know, and they funnel him inside, and he comes inside. So they can come inside. The fullbacks come inside. The defence, it's just too crowded. So if you occasionally go round the outside, it stretches it. It gives people a bit like we've just said about Pellistri doing and getting the ball across. For me, I expect it works hard. Without a doubt, he works hard. He doesn't. I don't think he does lack confidence. He's got that many tricks and flicks that he doesn't. The way he runs with the ball, and he seems to drag it along with the sole of his boot, I think he's full of confidence. So I don't think there's any lack of confidence there. I just hope that the manager's right and that he can become an even better player.
I totally agree with him. 2 occasions where he had 2 shots on goal with his left foot, when a Mahrez or a Saka fakes it and then cuts it on their right and maybe squares the ball or maybe makes the keeper work. And it was blatant that you could have cut it on your right. It was just blatant. And it's not like you're miles out where you have to put loads of power to cross. You could just slide the ball and cross it. And he didn't. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly what Ricky or people who...
I think he needs to learn to mix it up there.
Yeah, that's it.
That is the thing at the minute. You make a good point on Mahrez there, because you think of somebody like a Mahrez. It's all right watching it develop, you can look, but there's nothing you can do about it. No. And Antony has that in his locker. I'm certainly not prepared to write him off or say he's a flop or anything like that at this stage of the season. He does have it in his lockers, because we've seen him score goals at the Etihad. A fantastic goal, again, cutting in on that left foot. It's whether he can do the tricks, make that little bit of a yard or whatever to get away from the defender and unleash it. And players like Mahrez, your Salahs, whatever, they're capable of doing that, but they've got it up here. Antony, it will come with time. And Erik ten Hag, no doubt, has confidence in him, and Antony has confidence in himself. You
never know, this summer he might get a little plan only to use his right foot for everything, but passes, shooting, everything, and he might come back a completely different player, and we'll be moaning about him not cutting in enough. So Rory C says, I think this is to do with Weghorst. He's too slow to get around the back, so there'll be no one-on-ones. Second balls in the box is the best we can hope for. But overall, did we think it was a convincing performance? I actually thought the first half an hour, 35 minutes, I know we did score, but I thought we were quite sloppy in terms of the game just seemed very open. And Ricky, you said, didn't you, it's almost like playing Arsenal again here. It was almost end-to-end. But overall, do you think it was a convincing performance?
I think you've got to say overall, with a 3-0 win, haven't you? And, you know, the amount of space that we did find, it was look, if they'd have taken their chances, it could, or not just taking the chances, that little bit of a look like he was an inch or 2 offside, that lad, you know, it makes it 1-1, maybe changes the game a little bit. You know, they had a couple of other chances as well, and lots of that kid who was taking the corners in the first half, really dangerous corners into the box, as Faz said earlier. It could have been a different game, and as I've said, they have beaten good teams at home in the last 12 months, so it could so easily have been different, but it just surprised me how easily we did find space, particularly in their half of the field. They didn't seem to set themselves up as though they were playing a really top side. They didn't have everybody sat behind the ball like I expected them to. I can't say that I watched it when they beat Liverpool. I can't remember them. Maybe I did. Or when they knocked Arsenal out of the cup. Did they sit with everybody behind the ball and play on the break, behind the ball and try and break away? Because they didn't play like that tonight. The pitch was a massive expanse of space for most of the game. You know, we attacked, they attacked, and there was space at both ends of the field. Overall, 3-0 win for us. It's a convincing win in the end, and you know, you spoke earlier, I think Kev said right at the beginning that it'd be a massive upset for us to go out now. That is not happening. It's not happening.
That's my next point.
That is not happening.
Do we now consider we have the luxury of rotating come the home leg next week? I'm going to say that yes, we're still, you'll see some first teamers, your Casemiro's again maybe, or Casemiro might get a rest. I never know. It's almost like Ten Hag roulette, but in the sense of when we do play, when we have this 3-0 advantage now, you can look at it from one view and go, yeah, he'll play the kids as such, he'll play the reserves, whatever. But then I almost think, no, you know what? He might go and want to go and put another 3 past them and make it 6-0 in the aggregate score. But do you think, obviously now we have the luxury of rotating in the home leg, but do you think that he will rotate in the home leg?
I actually don't think so. He's a very stubborn manager, and I have the luxury of speaking to a lot of Ajax fans just to seek knowledge as to what they went through in similar times, and they've said to me numerous times he doesn't like to rotate that easily. Players have to be deserving to be rotated, let alone I think it might be a light Fred that you might see. Maybe if you're lucky you'll see McTominay starting, but I don't think he does a huge amount of rotation. Maybe Garnacho, who's deserving, but it's not like you're going to see an Elanga star or a Kubi Mino star or something like that. I don't see that happening. And in all honesty, I don't mind. Players seem to. He said it before, right? I remember when he went to Spain for Cadiz and Betis, he said players prefer playing than training, and they prefer to be having match momentum. The most important player for me who needs to be featuring in that game, especially in the home leg, is Jadon Sancho. For me, it's been a lot of games now, and we need to, as fan base, everybody's just got a huge question mark.
He's got to play at some point, hasn't he?
At some point, and what better way to find some momentum, to gain some confidence, to gain some match fitness than the Nottingham Forest game. And to add to what Ricky said about how convincing, I'll be honest with you, people might hate me for it, but we should have been 5-0. Eriksen had a amazing shot. He deserved a goal. And Antony, I'm one of his biggest fanboys, but that's criminal.
You got to score, yeah.
Yeah, that's criminal for me. You don't do that. You don't do that. So it should have been 5-0, but I'm very happy nonetheless.
On the note of Sancho, Kev.
Ten Hag would say it's 5-0. Ten Hag would say 5-0, boys. You should have been. Ten Hag hairdryer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 3-0 is not good enough. Should have been 5.
Yeah.
But on the note of Sancho, Kev, do you think, as we say, he's got to play a game at some point, whether it's a start, whether it's eased in. Do you think this current next 2 fixtures that we have, the Reading game, it being at home, do you think that gives him that opportunity to feature? With a home crowd, I'm just going to say he's going to get a warm welcome back, and hopefully a good performance. Would you have him playing that game, or would you save him until? Because then you're looking afterwards. You're back obviously in the Prem, double header against Leeds, and then you're then going into your Barcelonas.
I think you made a great point there, Faz. I think the game you'd be looking for Sancho for some kind of a return to Manchester United and first team football would be the Forest game. This because the hard work has been done this evening. To be at Old Trafford, it's a home game. Should be a great atmosphere. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating, making this cup final and going to Wembley. So there's not huge pressure on him. Could be a bit of a carnival atmosphere. He can sort of come out and play freestyle football. Let himself express himself, because it has been a long time since he's been in the team. I don't see Saturday evening's game against Reading being that game. It's still an FA Cup game, 4th round. Again, it's a cup competition that Erik Ten Hag will take seriously. Yeah. Bit of a risk starting him, because you know how people are on social media, and most United fans in general will be on his back. If he starts that game, let's say worst case scenario, we get knocked out, he'll be made the scapegoat. Sancho this, Sancho that, and Erik Ten Hag will know how to manage this one. He's certainly not going to throw him into the Lions' den. We slip up, get a result, and next minute all the headlines are on Sancho, because people are quick to act on them kind of things.
Do you think there might be a chance of just including him in that match day squad, to, not that he needs to, but the possibility of just getting him used to that environment again, say that we're comfortably winning by the 60, 70, 80th minute, and just giving him that 10, 15 minutes of just being like, look, you haven't really got anything to lose. Just go out there and enjoy yourself. That's probably the only possibility. Again, I don't see him starting. I just think that's throwing you way too deep in the deep end. Because even like you say, we could go and lose to Forest at home. And still win on aggregate, but again, it's quite easy to become the scapegoat, isn't it?
Oh, easily.
And especially, well, Harry Maguire's been found out for doing that. But Anthony Tracy says, you have to sell 2 from Pellistri, Ahmad, Garnacho, Sancho and Antony. Which 2 do you let go? Well, I mean, that's a difficult question, in all honesty. We'll answer this as we go, and then we'll give our man of the match, and then we'll end it there. So Faz, you've got Pellistri, Ahmad, Garnacho, Sancho, and Antony. You've got to sell 2 of them. Who would you sell?
Wow. You set me up for failure here, first and foremost. Thank you very much for the super chat. But boy, Pellistri.
I think that's probably the most obvious one.
And cannot sell Garnacho at any cost, so it has to be just simply based off the fact that we haven't seen him much this season. And I am sorry, we haven't.
I was going to say Sancho.
It has to be Jadon Sancho. And
okay, wow.
Ten Hag's trusted guy is Antony, so don't please, it's Ten Hag. Speak to Ten Hag.
It's a hypothetical situation, guys.
Anything confidence is going to be
please,
rock bottom now.
P.O. Box, Manchester United, name it Ten Hag, blame him, not me.
Kev, what about yourself?
I have to thoroughly agree. I didn't think he was going to do it then, but I could just hear himself.
You backed it because he's done it.
Yeah.
Ricky, would you be of similar opinion, or
Who are the 5 players?
Pellistri, Ahmad, Garnacho, Sancho and Antony?
I won't be selling Sancho. I like Sancho in a big way, and I don't know what's been wrong with him, but I need him, like you've just spoken about there. I need him to start getting 10 and 15 minutes here and there, and then getting back into some starting lineups and hopefully playing like I've seen him play. And I believe there's more to come. So I won't be selling Sancho, no way.
I'm looking forward to him coming back, in all honesty. I do think that he can definitely offer not just something. I think he can offer a huge amount to this team going forward. I really do.
But wait. Who's your 2? Because you haven't told us the 2. Don't try and slip away from this one, Rick.
The politician.
So definitely not Sancho.
Ahmad, Pellistri.
It'd probably have to be Ahmad. He's he's away on loan anyway. I'm not seeing a lot of him.
Doing well at Sunderland.
I believe
Player
he's
of the
doing
month.
well, and he's looked all right when he's played for us. But I'm just not seeing enough of him. I'd probably have to say Ahmad and Pellistri, or maybe. So where are we? Definitely not Sancho.
Yeah.
Ahmad or Pellistri or
Garnacho?
Antony or no, not Garnacho.
Antony's the other.
Maybe even Antony.
Wow.
Maybe
Thank you very much for watching.
Maybe even Antony.
We'll quickly run through everyone's man of the matches because we might be of different opinion. Ricky, we'll start with you. Who do you think was today's man of the match?
We spoke about it on the way in that they'd given it, and Kev asked me if I agreed with it, and I do think Martinez just about edged it. There was a few good performances, by the way. I'll give a shout to Lindelof. Thought he played really well, and I'm loving the way Weghorst holds the ball up and lays it off, and I think he had a good game as well. But yeah, I'd give it Martinez.
Kev?
Up to about the 70th minute mark when Eriksen was brought off, I think if he'd have stayed on the pitch, I would have given it him. I thought he was absolutely brilliant today. I think all action as usual, nearly scored a fantastic goal, just positive and everything he was doing. But I can't argue with Martinez. You look at the stats, look at what he did today, and on reflection of a full kind of 90+ minutes, the Butcher's just, he continues to impress me.
Quality. Even with that short stint out as well, comes back in like he's never been away.
With the headband on like Terry Butcher or something, and he's just, and even tonight throwing himself, his head where people don't even put their feet sometimes. Yes. He's so heroic, and just the United fans love him, don't they? The Argentina chants everything. It's the connection between the fans and a player like that. It's great. And to see him get his first goal, although we didn't get the result we wanted on Sunday, it's been an all right week, hasn't it? Apart from
3 out of 3. You going with Martinez as well?
I actually credit to Martinez, but I want to give it to Malacia. I love Malacia since he came in, and he, we spent 15 million to get Luke Shaw's career back. So I'm happy with that. and then he's not had a run of games because Luke Shaw's been outstanding, right? He's been really good. And then in comes Malacia, and he held it down so well. He dropped shoulders on wingers. He was so high up on the pitch. He put a beautiful crossing into Bruno Fernandes, who absolutely makes an atrocious decision not to bring it down, and Sky on the third tier of Nottingham Forest Stadium. But overall, Malacia...
Has he gone 3 times?
Second tier. I'm so used to Stratford
In the
End.
car park.
I'm so used to Stratford End. First year. But yeah, he was so good. He's always there looking for passes from Rashford. He's helping Rashford out. Malacia worked really hard today, so I have to give it to him. But Martinez is good, no doubt about that.
I'm giving it to Weghorst because he scored his first goal. There you go. That's all it needs. I'm giving it to him. But yeah, appreciate everyone for joining me today. Really, really enjoyed that one. Good to get 1 foot at Wembley. Hopefully next week we can secure the spot there. I'm looking forward to it. Get back to Wembley first. First trip to Wembley in how long? 5? Well, 5 years.
2018, was it?
Yeah, too long ago. We won't talk about it. But yeah, leave a like on your way out. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.